Let's bring in my guy.
Okay.
My other guy.
Okay.
A good friend of mine, Jim Jackson, Fox Sports NBA analyst, TNT NBA analyst, does a great job. What's up, Jim?
What's happening, fellas? What's going on?
Got Tori.
What up, man?
Yeah.
What up?
So congratulations, by the way. I don't know if we can tell people, but congratulations. I just want to give you that congratulations on the air.
What happened? I got married or something?
Well, we know that's not happening. Hey, I got to tell you, Jim, like, so earlier today, about an hour ago, there was this guy trying to deliver flowers. Not flowers, but flowers and some balloons. And it said, congratulations.
Right.
And it was knocking on the door. And it was like, well, they got the wrong people were knocking on the door.
Office.
And TJ went. And TJ, what happened when you went to the door?
Yeah, he's looking at his phone. He's like, I got a delivery for a Mike Hill, and we were like, what?
And the balloon say congratulations into some flower. I'm like, man, I ain't get nobody pregnant. I'm like, what's going on? I didn't know if that was an announcement or something. Like, that's the way you're gonna tell me.
Right.
I can't afford that.
Who showed that in?
I can't afford that, man.
Thanks a lot. Now, my son, he graduated from preschool to kindergarten. And
nice.
For those of everybody who's had kids and been through it, it's like, man, you see your son, you get emotional, you watch it. He's grown so much, 5 years, about to be 5 years old, and going to kindergarten. And over here at Children's Palace, they did a great job of, accepting him and treating him like he was one of theirs. He's learned so much and grown so much. So it was just one of those days, man, as a parent, emotional, but a special day.
So almost 5?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was born on Father's Day in 2008.
Wow.
So
Perfect.
Coming up next week.
He's probably taller than me too, huh?
hey, guy, I wasn't gonna say that, but yeah.
He really is. He is. Zavi, right? Zavi? He really is growing. He looks really good. He's a good-looking kid, man. Really good-looking kid, man. So
I'm not saying
congratulations.
anything.
Did you cry?
No, I didn't cry. But there was some couple of times when they were singing some songs and
got choked up,
and the teachers were talking, and they came up and kind of walked on stage and kind of get their picture taken with a sign, that indicated their graduation. It was emotional, man.
That's
nice.
awesome. That's
nice.
awesome. All right, man. Let's talk some basketball. What are we seeing right now?
Okay.
When we look at Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray, 10 years from now, what are we going to be saying about this performance?
Well, it depends. For them, their legacy is etched in. Of course, they're going to be remembered as some outstanding basketball players, and maybe Jokic goes down as one of the best to ever play the game. But of course, winning the championship solidifies that even more because, you're in rare air when you do that. It's interesting the transition that both have made. From when they first entered the league, when you look at Jokic, who, was a little bit overweight, not as athletic, of course. Yusuf Nurkic was there in Denver. Denver had to make a choice, for Nikola or Nurkic, and what they did. And you look back at his transformation, as he's always been skillful, but him dedicating himself to losing the weight, COVID, and keeping it off, I think it's paid huge dividends for a couple of things. One, his endurance is a lot better. His strength is a lot better. He's able to finish games, with a fresher mindset and body because of that. And the skill set that he has is ridiculous. And I hate that people want to compare Joel Embiid and him and then take away and criticize the other to justify, their argument as to why one is better. I don't think you should do that. They're both individually skilled, and they're both really effective at what they do. But Nikola, just what he's able to do, how he's able to control the game from the center position, just totally affects how defensively you're able to not defend the width of the court. He's special. And I would say this about Jamal Murray.
Mm-hmm.
He had a lot to learn as a basketball player, okay?
How so?
Maturity, basketball, IQ,
okay.
Just understanding the game and how to play the game from a point guard position because he was a scorer by nature and understanding what it means to run. and offense, a team. But I think what helped him really, you hate to see this, the injury, I think matured him a lot. And I say that is because he was able to sit and watch and understand what the game was all about from a deeper context and how and what he needed to do as a player to improve, from the leadership perspective. And now you see the fruit of that knowledge paying off big time at the biggest moment right now in the championship stage.
Yeah, they're 2 games away from their first NBA championship. The Miami Heat down 2-1. They seem to play better, though. And I know you covered the Eastern Conference Finals for TNT when they were the Heat and the Boston Celtics. So you see the resolve that they have. Obviously, they went up 3-0 in that series and then 0-3. But they seem to play better when their backs are against the wall. So what do you expect tonight?
I mean, the Heat are going – look, the Heat figure out ways to win, okay, just like Denver. Now, you got to give Denver a lot of credit. They're one of the best team in the Western Conference. This team has been together. You add Bruce Brown and then KCP. That solidifies what they do. This Heat team, keep in mind that during the course of the year, they may have been top 2 teams that had lost games to injury. They didn't shoot the ball well. So they've been through so much through the course of the year that their resilience is the reason why they're always able to, after a loss, to come back. Now, keep in mind, I think it was the last 3 games. They lost the last 3 games at home. But
they
they figure out ways to come back and win games. It's not always going to be pretty. They don't have to shoot the 3-ball well because they're going to grind you out. They're going to make you work. They're going to force you to have to play the shot clock. They're going to force you to have to play a physical brand of basketball, physical in the terms of what today's game is. And Eric Spoelstra, to me, probably behind Pop, probably the best coach in the league.
Yeah.
And I got a chance to see Eric when I was with the Heat. He was our film guy. And I think what makes Eric special, just like a lot of coaches that come through this way, he was in the film room breaking down tape, so he got to see the game from a different perspective. He got to talk to different players and get their likes and dislikes and how to communicate with players. He talked to coaches. He talked to scouts. Mickey Erickson, the owner. So he got this full knowledge of not just the X's and O's, but how to communicate with players, how to communicate with other coaches, how to communicate with media, how to communicate with the ownership. And then you groom all that, put all that together. What he's been able to think about this early in his career, talking about, well, is he the right guy for the Heat? And look at where he's at right now. So the response to me is going to be one of they're going to play harder, play smarter. They have to do a better job of pick and roll defense. I can see them trapping a little bit more, but also taking away the points in the paint. The 2 games that Denver has won, they've won the points in the paint. So it's going to be interesting to see the strategic moves that they make, Miami Heat make tonight.
It seems like the Heat are missing a lot of bunnies, too, in the paint. We know that Denver's a taller team, so they could have the advantage in the paint when it comes to rebounding. But Bam is missing a lot of bunnies. Jimmy's missing a lot of bunnies. Jimmy doesn't seem to be himself. I know he's still obviously the leader of the team, but maybe there's expectations because we expect playoff Jimmy, and even though he's scoring and at times he had a good first half the other night, we're not seeing playoff Jimmy. What we're used to seeing like we saw against Milwaukee.
Well, but it's a difference. You give Denver a lot of credit because they have positional size, meaning that even with switches, Jimmy doesn't have the advantage. Even against a Jamal Murray, Jamal's still 6'4". You see what I'm saying? It's different than, maybe a different kind of switch. So give the Denver Nuggets a lot of credit. One, we didn't talk about them, how good they can be defensively, but they've influenced the way that Miami attacks the basket because of that size. But Jimmy is going to be Jimmy. You got to understand something. Jimmy Butler is not a high-volume shooter. Okay, he's going to pick and choose his spots. He wants to set his teammates up, get them involved, and when it's time for him to do his thing, that's when he'll do it. So he's patient in his delivery of offense. He's not going to force the situation. He's not going to force shots if he's not going. But I can see Jimmy being, I think, more aggressive in the game, and I think in the third quarter, fourth quarter, he'll come around and he'll figure out ways, along with the coaching staff, to kind of get his money on when he needs to.
Yeah, talking to Gary Payton last night, Tony Rock and I, we were asking about this series, and Tony brought up the fact, and Gary Payton said yes, that this team is scrappy. You know, and that's what Gary Payton said about this Miami Heat team. And he said it reminded him of the Miami Heat team that he was on when he won the championship, how scrappy they were back then. And so it was like the comparison was kind of like was blew my mind, actually.
Yeah, you know, but the difference with that team, you had still star power. Now, maybe Gary Payton wasn't the Gary Payton of old, but he had that DNA, that all-star DNA in him, that at any given time to turn the pages back and contribute. So the makeup of that team that they had back then when they won it is a lot different, but the ingredients on how hard you play, the attention to detail, being professional, all of that, those intangibles were there. With this Miami Heat team, you have, and, you know, the story's been told about the undrafted players trying to figure out how to make the roster, but they bought into playing their role, which is very, very important. And if you think about it, it's Bam Adebayo, superstar, but in Kyle Lowry again, all-star, but not the same player, but yet has the pedigree. But look at the roster and how it's built. And who have a lot to prove, who were kind of counted out in situations as far as making an impact in the NBA and even making the roster. But yet and still, these pieces fit together. And by fitting together, they know and understand their roles and responsibilities, gotten them to a championship. What'll be interesting, guys, is if other teams take that blueprint and try to emulate that.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting. Win or lose if Miami, in the championship round, it'd be interesting to see if other teams do that.
Yeah, and remember, Miami's playing without Tyler Hero and Victor Oladipo in this one. The fact that they got here as an 8th seed and they are a game away from tying the series up after 4 says a lot about everything that you talked about, starting with Eric Spoelstra and that whole organization.
His in-game adjustments are great, too.
Yeah, the best.
I mean, well, both coaches, man. I tell you, Michael Malone doesn't get a lot of credit because they lost some games in the playoffs of some series. And, he talked about, is Michael Malone the right person for this team? Well, yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to go through the fire and you lose in order to get there. You know what I mean? Michael Jordan, the Detroit Pistons, they lost in playoff series before they were finally able to cut down the net.
Right.
Yeah, Jim, as you know, there ain't that many good coaches out there. So if you fire them, who you going to get? That's the thing. It ain't that many great coaches out there, man.
Well, yeah, you get rid of them. Okay, so who you bringing in?
Yeah,
but I'm happy for both because I love to see, and Guy, you brought up a great point, that both make these in-game adjustments. Okay, little tweaks. Okay, when Nikola Jokic is out the game, okay, we're going to play zone a little bit more. We're going to double team Jamal Murray. When Jokic comes back in, we'll switch it back up. We'll try to hold on as long as we can, but Jokic is so good in the middle of the court that he'll break you down. So, both coaches, I love the in-game, but also the preparation part of it, and holding their star players and the rest of their players accountable.
Yep.
I think that's the key as well.
That's what makes a great coach. Jim Jackson, great analyst, better man. Great father as well, man. Thanks for hanging out with me as always, my friend. I know you got a golf course and a cigar in your future somewhere.
It's a little dreary today. I played yesterday. It's a little dreary today, but the cigars will definitely be there, especially tonight for the game.
Yes,
always on point, man.
On deck.
I'll catch up with you soon, man. Congratulations again to your son.
I appreciate you. Yeah, great talking to you, brother.
Likewise, bro.
Safe, man.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.